Hey everybody, welcome to my suburban oasis. My name is Soleil and I garden here in a zone 5B/6A, and we're going to do our garden tour today because we've got lots of things going on in the garden that are looking good, and I've been pretty busy in the garden this week trying to keep things tidy. So we'll talk a little bit about some of the things that I'm going to be working on in the next week and also some of the things that I've been working on this week. So let's take a look at this beautiful area in the fountain garden. Well, one of the things that is very bountiful right now are these two superstar spireas. They are just overflowing with beautiful, beautiful blooms, and the bumblebees are really enjoying them as well. You can see this guy up here. He's just covered in pollen, and they're everywhere, just flying around, enjoying their time on this. Definitely a bumblebee magnet. Those seem to be the most prominent pollinators that these invite into the garden. We still have some beautiful blooms on the mock orange over here. They are starting to go over, but just enough to really continue to enjoy and get some fragrance out of it. And then we'll be pruning this back soon. You can see some of the flowers are turning to seed heads now because they've all been very well pollinated. I will say this one has definitely been a pollinator magnet as well. Well, also over here in the fountain garden, something that's happening is we have our roses that are blooming. These are all the rage roses, and they're looking gorgeous still. We have lots of buds on them though, so I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of them to come in the next week. Just look at all of those. And some of the plants actually have a little bit of a yellow tinge to them, and I think it's because we have gotten so much water, you guys. We probably got about ½ inch of rain with that really strong storm that came through everywhere. It rained for a couple hours straight, and then the next day again. And today it keeps looking like it's going to rain, but it hasn't. So these incredible hydrangeas are probably about 4 feet tall right now. In fact, I think I have a spike on the far end over here that's probably just as tall as me. But they are looking gorgeous, very beautiful. They are almost completely open. That's going to be definitely happening this week. I hope that these kind of don't go over too quickly because we have a heat wave coming. I know many people I've talked to say that they have a heat wave coming in their area, so it must be very widespread. It is definitely coming to our area. It's going to be in the mid-90s, and definitely everyone stay cool. We have a few of our Johnson's blue geraniums popping through, which I think is pretty. And then we have our opening act phlox over here. We have some ultra pink phlox. And then we have just a few of the blush ones in front. And then we have the pinkadot phlox up above. And then we have some, what was this called? A cluster bellflower, I think. Anyways, it's kind of taking over the area. Hopefully it doesn't completely take over this garden bed, but it definitely spreads by rhizomes and is fairly aggressive. So we'll see. Hopefully it'll stay contained because I have a lot of other beautiful flowers in here, like the geraniums and the foxgloves. I have some sedums. So just trying to ensure that we continue to have other flowers in here that I really do want to have. I think we'll take you over to the other side across the deck because we have some beautiful things happening over there. Pay no attention to our grill cover here. I actually found some lavender, some little tiny lavender plants in the cracks of my Protege garden here between the bricks, and I have planted them up in these containers, and we'll see how big they get this year. I don't know if they'll get very big, but anyhow, I thought that was fun. I've done quite a bit of cleaning up here in the Protege garden. I got the clematis that was dead off of this, and I have actually used some Roundup to spray the thistle in this area, and no, I will not be eating the kale that's in here. but this thistle is really, really hard to get out all the way by the weeds, so just selectively sprayed those. I came through and cleaned up the salvia that was taking over this area. I also had some random stakes that were here, so I think it's looking a whole lot better. I even trimmed up these euonymus here, and they look really pretty in these pots. They actually seem to do better in the pots than they do in the ground for me. My red mustard plant has gotten really big, and in fact it's flowering, and I hope to collect the seeds off of it. So pollinators, go for it, get this plant, because I would love some seeds from it. Well, you can see that over here by our garden shed we have lots of phlox blooming as well, and the dianthus are still going strong in the ladybed. In fact, the sedum has really taken off in her planter. I'll get a close up here for you. I think it looks really good. I'm looking forward to seeing a little bit more of that red tinge around the edges of it as we get more sunshine. Our Pinky Winky's looking good. I have come through and trimmed almost all of my deutzia because they seem to be trying to also take over. And so I've trimmed them all into small globes. You'll see that throughout the garden. I'll try to make a point to point them out. Here's my tiny tough stuff that has buds on it, just starting to open this week. Lots of hydrangeas just starting to open this week. So again, I really hope this heat wave doesn't take the juice out of them and that they continue to bloom afterwards. But isn't this just so pretty? So on the far right we have the Pinkadot, and then on either side of the door here we have some dianthus with the blush phlox, and then over here the Pinkadot is just mingling with the Boom Chocolata geranium. Isn't that pretty? That's just gorgeous. So many blooms. I did come through and deadhead these geraniums right here, so now my husband doesn't have to worry about running over them with the lawnmower anymore, and you can see the stones in front of them again, which is really nice. A few more of those ultra pink phlox over here, just kind of randomly there. We have our other smooth hydrangeas over here. Again, they're getting ready to bloom, not fully open yet, but definitely starting to open, and they're a beautiful limey green color right now, which I find gorgeous. It's just as pretty as when they turn white and are fully open. Some of the blooms did get damaged by the leaf tires. Here's an example of one, but many of the blooms have come forth unscathed. So I'm not really, feeling too bad about not having killed off all of them. I feel like we've got plenty of good blooms this year. Look at all of the buds up here on this hydrangea. This is the pink diamond paniculata hydrangea. And this one is really far along. I almost think this one is further along than our quickfire hydrangea, but we'll take a look at that one in a little bit here. This area in the shade garden is looking really nice and full, and I'm glad that I did take out the smooth hydrangea in this area because the hostas just take up so much space, and they look really, really beautiful with the lungworts. And I don't know, we're gonna give them another year in the garden at least. Maybe they'll stick around for longer, we'll see. You never know what's gonna change in the garden from year to year. So you have to really enjoy it at the time that it's beautiful. We've got a little bit more new growth happening on our Scarlet O'Hara Pieris here in red. Much of it has turned over to the nice green color. But this one has been very happy in its space. So we'll keep that one there for now also. Our Dr. Rupel clematis has gone over. All of the flowers are gone, but the Crossa regal hosta is looking good, and you'll see lots of debris from our hawthorn tree, which bloomed this week, and the bees were all over, and all of the blossoms have just been breaking up and sprinkling the ground with their little petals, sprinkling the ground and other plants with them. We're also starting to get some blooms on the jet stream hydrangea over here. So these start out a really beautiful lime green as well. And then they start to turn to white. And the thing about these is they just offer so many seasons of interest. Really hoping that the bunnies leave them alone this coming winter. But that's a long ways off. So again, we'll just enjoy them right now. The Sum and Substance hosta is so big. I'm just going to put my hand on it just so you can see how big the leaves are. Yeah, they are massive. So big. Bigger than my head. And you can see this jet stream hydrangea over here is really beginning to open up. Look at all the blooms that are on this one this year. So cool. This one's probably the furthest along. Not any buds showing really on the Pinky Winky hydrangea standard here, but that's okay. Those are much later to bloom than many of the other hydrangeas that we have. Our garnet maple is looking beautiful though. I have to say that these striptease hostas are out of control right now. They're taking over. I really want to dig them up, but I'm waiting for the heat to come through and go away beforehand. So hopefully we'll have some cool weather afterwards. I think that there's supposed to be rain after we go through the heat wave. So that could be a perfect time for me to dig them up, divide them, and replant them. This oak leaf hydrangea over here, it looks really nice and healthy, but it definitely is not getting any blooms on it this year. The rabbits did eat this one, and they do bloom on old wood, so no blooms from that one. Gotten lots of growth on our dogwood, and I'm still working on my husband to try to get to the point where we can cut down this buckthorn tree. Yeah, got to get rid of that one. Our Baronoa is still looking nice and healthy. And we're finally starting to see some astilbe bloom heads here. The bloom stalks are coming up and probably going to open within the next week. Our foxtail lily has flopped because of all of the rain that we got. Here's what it looks like. Normally it stands about 5 feet in the air. Our bloomstruck hydrangea is starting to open. It looks like it's going to be pink this year. We do not have acidic soil, so I kind of expected that. And a beautiful trio of blooms opening on Grandma's Blessings rose. You can see the Annabelle hydrangea in the back there is starting to open its blooms as well. Now we have two little haughty hydrangeas, one in the center of this garden bed and one right over here, neither of which are putting on buds yet, partly because they are in more shade, but partly because also they are a little bit later of a bloomer. I definitely have one that I'll show you in a pot that is putting on lots of buds. Here's our can-do hosta, still working on those buds, not yet open, but lots of them. So I'm really looking forward to those blooms. That one's so pretty. Our mega caramel heuchera, look at the size of those leaves again. Just for comparison, it's the size of my hand. Very large. They start out that dark color and then they turn lighter and lighter as they grow. Also waiting until after this heat wave to divide any more hostas in this garden bed. I haven't gotten to any more of those this week. But I did come through on this garden bed and trim a couple of branches off of this firelight hydrangea because they were coming out towards the walkway, and I wanted to kind of lift the skirt on that one a little bit just to make sure that they weren't, you know, coming into the path. And I may even take off this lower branch right here as well. Here we have our Gatsby Moon hydrangea, still working on opening those buds. Also hoping that one doesn't get hit by the heat too much. You can see the buds on this firelight here starting to form. That one's gorgeous. And our Fothergilla back here has really come back after the rabbits ate it down throughout the winter, so I think we're going to get some beautiful fall color on that one. Over here in our long border, you'll see the absence of the red bud. I have cut that down. There still is a stump in the ground, but I did get it cut down and cleaned up, so that was a really good first step towards getting that taken care of. For those of you who are new, I had a branch break off in a windstorm, so I had to take it all the way down. You can see we're starting to get some bloom stalks on these daylilies. We have like Storm Shelter in this area. They're from the Rhythm of My Heart series. Some blooms on this rose. This one is the iceberg rose, so it blooms white. So these buds should be opening soon. You can just see them beginning to show some color. Here's another firelight hydrangea, still just budding. The same with this daisy here. And you can see there's where the red bud was. There's just a couple of tall stumps right now. We're gonna see if maybe we can dig it out this fall. I need to move this daisy before we try to do that though, so we're gonna let that one go ahead and bloom and just enjoy that. Lots of color right here with the dianthus still going. And just look at all of the buds on this quick fire. Holy moly, this one is ready to go. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to be able to say it's officially hydrangea season as soon as I get my first bloom. And look at this, the clematis that we have back here. We have two different kinds. Aren't these pretty? I think the top one is Madame Bouchard. I think that's what that's called. I haven't looked it up yet. But it's a really pretty contrast in colors, and so many buds still left on that. We have a few down here as well that are kind of clambering around that hydrangea. And this is a strawberry Sunday hydrangea. Another deutzia that I have trimmed back into, you know, kind of a mound to try to keep it from taking over. And some beautiful phlox here. That's the ultra pink and then the opening act white phlox. Our vanilla strawberry Sunday is huge this year. So tall. taller than I think it's ever been, despite me pruning it in the exact same way that I have in the past. I account for that as the weather this year with all of the rain that we've gotten. So I still need to trim the weigela that's here. The weigela is done blooming, so now is an excellent time to do that. So hopefully we'll get a video out about that soon. Here we have another strawberry Sunday hydrangea that's getting ready to bloom. It's got lots of buds all over. They're just a little smaller though. They're not quite as far along as some of the others, like the quick fire for instance. Here's a can-do. That one's getting ready to open. You can start to see some of the color on it. And then in front of it, believe it or not, are alliums, the Millennium alliums. Those are putting out buds right now as well. I feel like it's a little early for them, guys. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like usually it's a few weeks later, which is odd because everything seems to be a little later this year. Maybe things are just confused because of all the rain, I don't know. But here on this quick fire, you can see we're getting ready to push out some blooms also. And just looking down this way, I don't know if you can see, but the heucheras have lots of little tiny blooms pushing out over the rocks, which is so pretty. Lots to look at right now in the garden. And we will be needing to do a hard trim, a hard prune on those spirea after they are done blooming. I forget the name of this hydrangea. I think it might be blush. It's a light pink, smooth hydrangea. So this will be the first year that it blooms. I put it in about 2 years ago. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that one bloom and what it looks like. I have a hydrangea over here that I just stuck the stick in the ground a few years ago in front of my compost bins here, and it took root, and I haven't had the heart to actually take it all the way out, but it's getting ready to bloom also. Eventually it's going to try to get really big, I think, but I don't know, maybe I can keep it here and continue to kind of hide my bins. And then we have some Johnson's blue geranium over here. It's kind of mingling with things. All right, let's head out into the front garden. Again, you can see how the hydrangeas are kind of yellow because they've been getting so much water. They don't need this much water. So maybe the heat will do a little good, actually. Maybe they'll soak up some of that water. We got some Dreamland geraniums down here that are growing. And a weed. No, I don't think that's a weed, actually. I think that's an aster. Oh, well, that's all right. Our liatris is getting really tall, you guys. Just look at that. And our little Henry sweet spires are blooming. I can't smell them. They don't smell like anything to me. Maybe it's because there's not enough blooms yet. I don't know. But I tried to smell them and I didn't smell anything. So I guess we'll see. Everybody says they smell like kind of a vanilla spicy scent or something like that, but I smell nothing at this point. Yeah, so just look at these. You can start to see color at the tips of the liatris. So those are going to be busting into bloom soon. And this paniculata hydrangea is a PG. And it has buds all over it as well. Not a ton, but plenty of them so that we'll see lots of blooms. I've come through this garden bed and done some cutbacks. Thank goodness for my new tool. A lot of you have asked me for information on the steel grass cutting clippers that I've used in my videos, and so I've shared that with those of you who have asked. But I've cut back the salvias, and there are a couple of salvias that are left right here. I'm planning to cut those back after the heat. I just wanted to give them a little bit more time, for the ones that were here, here, and down here to start to put on new growth, which
Again, I cut them all the way back down. You can see they're starting to grow back already. So
I just wanted to give those a head start so that maybe we'll get a little bit of timing of blooms where the two won't bloom together exactly. But so those are kind of going over, but what's starting to really come up and show itself in this garden bed now is the grass. So these are the Cheyenne sky grasses that we planted. And they've come back really well, you guys. I've been really impressed. Kind of funny. I don't know if you saw when I went back there and looked, but we have a coneflower that's actually blooming right now. Not even July. So, a little bit crazy. It feels early to me. Is it early? I have a little volunteer coneflower in front of this garden bed. I'm going to have to find a home for him. But with the 9 barks done blooming, they still look good. They will shed some of these seed pods, and everything just looks really, really full right now. Can get a little overwhelming, but I'm just going to enjoy it. Here we have our double play doozy red. And again, we have bees just really enjoying themselves here on it. You can see the pollen all over that bee's legs. Oh my goodness. Well, over here in this garden bed, you can see we actually have some elderberry blooms still happening. And over here we also have an echinacea that has started to bloom. So June blooms on the echinacea this year. And what's looking really pretty in this garden bed right now to me is the penstemon. I believe this is Rocky Mountain Red. There's some purple penstemon too, which is like the Pike's Peak purple. But I'm really liking the Rocky Mountain Red this year. It's just glowing. It's kind of a pink to me. I don't know, what color do you think it is? Everybody, I think, has different colors for pink and red and for blue and purple. Oscar Peterson Rose is looking great still. So many buds on that and so many blooms. Pollinators are loving it. When we had this, I think I said this in an earlier video, I'm going to be clipping it back quite substantially because I did not clip it back at all after the winter. So it's a little taller than it should be, but we can fix that. Still lots of blooms on our clematis by our mailbox. And I forgot about the mums out here, you guys. So the mums are putting on buds. I didn't clip these back. So we'll be having mums in this garden bed quite early. And look at that, there's a volunteer walnut tree. Some squirrel buried that, so we'll have to take care of that also. But we're also having lots of coneflowers trying to bloom out here. It's crazy. These just look like red velvet. Aren't those beautiful? They remind me of those stage curtains. Oh, gorgeous. Well, our front sunbed has dianthus blooming and some salvia, but that's really about it right now. We just have a lot of color from the orange rocket barberries, a little bit of color from the salvias, and we have our bobo hydrangeas that are putting on some buds, but I think the deer came through and nipped one of them. I haven't been spraying because unfortunately it's been so wet, so it keeps raining all the time, and I know the stuff is supposed to stick even if it's wet, but it's been raining so much I don't believe that it will, and I'm not going to waste it. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Here's some more of that Dreamland geranium. We have some ferns under here. Everything's looking pretty good. Uh-oh, another walnut tree. Look at that, masking itself by the viburnum. Gonna have to pull that one out too. All right, I thought that these daisies were gonna be blooming this week. Not so much. They're very ready to, but they aren't blooming yet. Oh my gosh, it's like the walnut trees are everywhere all of a sudden. I'm really gonna have to do a scavenger hunt. Anyhow, it's gonna be gorgeous as soon as these daisies open up, because look at how many buds there are. Ooh, I can't wait. Those are so pretty. So pretty when they open up. But yeah, not a lot of blooms in this area, but we do have some nice color, which is fantastic. Up here in our shade garden bed, we have some of those beautiful phlox. These are the opening act blush phlox. And just look at our poor impatiens. Our poor impatiens are getting drowned. They're so yellow, they look awful. They need some dry weather. But our Cape Lookout hydrangea that we transplanted up here is looking great. It looks real healthy. It's taken wonderfully to this spot, so I think we've saved it. And all three of them are looking quite healthy. So yay, that is a win. I will take it. Everything's looking nice and healthy in here. I do need to do some more tending to the geranium macrorrhizum, which is still trying to spread a bit in here to places where I want to peel it back from the hellebores. But otherwise, this garden bed is pretty much free of needing to be tended to, which is fantastic because I have lots of other flowers that seem to require a lot of effort this year. I can't wait until these little pine trees put out this new growth and it kind of naturalizes to more of the blue color. It's just looking kind of yellow right now. And I don't know if that's, I mean, this is its first year with the new growth for me, so I don't know if that's normal or if that also could be partly to do with all of the rain we've been getting. I want to show you the lavender both here and in the other garden bed because it's fantastic. So this, I think I called it Munstead, but I believe it's Hidcote lavender right here with the blue stem grass in between it. And then the other lavender that we have is the big time blue lavender. And it's definitely got a very different growth habit. It's much smaller. The blooms on it are just about fully open. And they make a lovely statement in this garden bed. You can see the dianthus have been nibbled on by the rabbits along here. Unfortunately. I think this heat wave, the lavender is going to love it, and it's just going to explode into full bloom. We've got some nice new growth on the junipers here. These are the blue point junipers. Or blue arrow junipers, excuse me. Had some people ask me what variety those were. Blue arrow. And the other one that I have is a skyrocket juniper. But our blue corner, I think it's looking pretty blue right now. I'm happy with it. I love all the new growth on this blue fothergilla. It really has covered up some of the frost damaged leaves. So it just looks really nice and healthy now. Beautiful. Look at that striptease hosta. That is exactly what they're supposed to look like when they're full grown. That is gorgeous. It looks like a bouquet. We're getting lots of growth on this orange rocket barberry as well as the viburnum right here. So super stoked about that because it really is providing height. They're both probably 4 feet tall now. So yay! Hiding my meter box and doing a little bit to hide my air conditioning unit as well. I'm gonna knock on wood, but this phlox has not been eaten yet by the deer, so hopefully it will give us some gorgeous blooms soon. I did not do the Chelsea chop on that one. Let's see if we have any buds on our quick fire hydrangea over here. I'm not seeing any. This is the one that I grew from a very small stick, but I feel like they're gonna come because we have some very small leaves in here, so maybe it's just behind the other ones. Well, with that said, here's our last garden bed to look at with the Johnson's blue geranium a little Hakona chloe grass, and some beautiful blooms on the black lace elderberry. Thanks so much for joining me in the garden today. I hope you had fun on this garden tour, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.